Greetings. Once again, I'm George Foster Ryan with the Get To Free Press, and as usual, I try to stay on top of what's going on in the community on behalf of the general public, but more specifically in the black community, because we have a historic record that the local news media networks, for whatever reason, cannot see the black news in the black community as a concern. And this goes and extends to public meetings at city and county governments. And so we want you to listen to what's coming up at the work session January the 3rd here in Valdosta. And y'all know me, I report what others ignore. So what better person could I talk to about this event than yours truly, the man of the hour, the man of the day. There he is. What's your name, my brother?
John Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, briefly explain to me what happened tomorrow and who is going to be involved, and what's your direction at the work session of the city mayor and council here in the city of Valdosta, Georgia.
I'm going to be making a major presentation pertaining to the issues of our South Side and low-income communities. We're going to be discussing undesirable topics that no one wants to talk about. It might involve white fragility, black fragility. That's when people resent hearing what we got to talk about. And the things we're going to be discussing is what got us to where we are here now. So that we can, if we can't talk about it, we will never do nothing about it. Nothing never happened, nothing ever get done. That don't mean we got to get angry about what happened in the past, but we got to deal with the results of the situation that it created for everyday common life of people that's been excluded and left out of a system that's been always been dominated by white people here in Lowndes County and set up that way. And it's structured in that manner. It don't have, it's not a racist approach, it's just a straight approach where we got to get a good understanding of how we got here, why we're here. And we're going to be discussing the old 1860, the relevance of the old 1860 charter, how it was mandated, how it was governed for and hung on the walls of City Hall for over 100 years, and how it was governed for 72 years by a particular group of people all the way down to James Beck. It's time for restoration and revitalization of it started with the South Side and its low-income communities. That means the West Side, the North Side, East Side. All the low-income communities have been totally excluded, and we're going to talk about how it was done. And the part that people don't pay attention to, it was done through zoning and redistricting of the historic community and historic areas. How it be manipulated by the laws. It's going to be an in-depth conversation, not a conversation, but an in-depth presentation. And they limited me to 15 minutes. Normally, I go before them. It was on the work session. It take all the time that's required, that's needed, but now, for some reason, it's limited to 15 minutes. But I can say a lot in those 15 minutes. I got it pretty well laid out. It's going to be laid out pretty unique, and I hope that many people can come out and give us the support that we need. We had threatened to file civil litigation on Title VI based upon exclusion, and this meeting here, this presentation is kind of like last call before we make the initiative stand to file. We don't really want to file nothing against the city or the county, but if we are compelled to, we will. There's no problem about that. There's not going to be no whole lot of arm twisting, leg breaking, and nothing of that nature to get us to do it or not do it. It's going to be commonly done. If they don't come to some conclusion to re-renovate and restore the South Side for the damage that's been done to this community, it's going to be very plain and simple. We're going to file the litigation. This is like a last stance. But we're going to talk real raw. We're not going to beat around the bush. We're going to talk about real issues that people don't want to discuss. It's going to be about a black and white issue. It's and about the biggest of it. And people don't want to go there. But everybody want everything to remain the same. How can it remain the same if you're gonna keep? It's gonna stay the same if you keep the same attitude, keep the same thing in place. Do you know they'll pay for street for $21 million from the 1%, splash fund, but they can't spend $21 on a starving child in these low-income communities, and it's very disgraceful, distasteful. Okay, so I urge you to be there if you can and support of what we're going to trying to do, and hopefully that everyone can understand the point of view and realize the results of the realities that's confronting this community. There's a lot of people that oppose the way I go about doing things, but I don't believe in beating around the bush. I don't believe in sugarcoating. I don't believe in going along with it. I just don't believe in that. I believe that I must face the true issues that I'm confronted with by being a victim at one point because I was black, and I understand the trend of it and the realities of it and what comes with the word called discrimination. Okay, so our community have been excluded. All these communities have been excluded, not just the South Side. We obviously use the South Side because it was the James Beck overpass that killed a certain section of the city, which was the South Side. But all the low-income communities are neglected, and they're plotted out and planned strategically. Let's take Florida Street for an example. No one pays no attention to Florida Street, but the railroad tracks was moved over closer to the buildings, and at least 50 feet closer to the buildings, so they can put a park in. At the same time, the park was exclusively used to move the tracks over because they knew that those old buildings in there would never get a certificate of occupancy if they don't have adequate parking. All these kind of schemes and plots, okay? And the charter said they were going to pass all these necessary laws to suppress, okay? And I urge you to be there. Okay. It's very important.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you a lot of questions. I just want the people, the public, to know, and we are live on Facebook, and I'm going to post it because I want people to know that too often the news media, we used to go to the news media and they would put in there, tell our story, but we've come to the conclusion now, not only in Valdosta, but across the state of Georgia, that they don't care too much about the cutting-edge issues. And so, as I close, I'm just got one or two questions. Number one, why do you do what you do?
Well, because I want to see equilibrium, justice, and equality, and I want to see all our businesses thrive like everybody else's businesses thrive. It's not a secret about that. I believe we're supposed to have just as good a chance as anyone else in a free society.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And my final question is that when you do your presentation, I hope to be there. But afterwards, we're going to give it a few days, but if the local media and radio and TV does not do a pretty good, thorough recap of what you present and others who may join you in this, then I would like to do another interview with you to talk about how it came out.
Definitely you can do that. You're the free press. You definitely can do that. You report what others ignore.
Okay. Thank you very much. And for you all who watch this, I want you all to watch the movie Vigilante, where I'm featured in. The Honorable Greg Pallas, an investigative reporter, have crossed the state of Georgia and the United States. He's from overseas, but yet he believes in taking on the issues. So I ask you to watch that movie today, the last day that it's going to show. And it's free. Just go online and Google vigilantemovie.com, no spaces, just vigilantemovie.com, and watch that entire movie. We were presented in there, Commissioner Olivia Coley Pearson in Douglas. And just like Robinson, she is a warrior, and she's fighting for people who too often will not fight for themselves. Thank you, Brother Robinson, for doing this interview. And all you who join us and who watch this video, please share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Bye-bye. Go.
In his very first year as Georgia's voting chief, Brian Kemp literally ordered armed seizures. He sent the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Georgia's own version of the FBI, to Quitman, Georgia, to arrest 10 newly elected members of the school board the first black members on the board, arresting teachers, including 2 PhDs. Kemp accused them of stuffing tampered ballots into mailboxes. That same old accusation as in 2000 Mules. Kemp had them paraded in handcuffs and orange suits, like they were terrorists at Guantanamo. Local journalist George Boston Rhines has closely tracked the case.
I'm George Boston Rhines, and I'm in Quitman, Georgia. And I am immediately, just got down here. These are the Quitman 10. This is what I do.
After 4 years of prison over their heads, the Quitman 10 were acquitted of every charge.
So much stress was on those people. Lula Smart even considered taking her own life.
With all the indictment that I had, in my mind, I thought, well, if I just commit suicide, this will be over.
Another suffered from lupus.
Latasha Head, she died. And I interviewed her father, and he said that he believed that his daughter's death was a result of the stress and pressure brought about by Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp.
Greetings. Today is January the 1st, 2023. I'm standing in front of the entranceway to Loudoun County school system. January the 11th, 2013, a student by the name of Kendrick K.J. Johnson was found dead on the school campus right here. For reasons yet to be determined. I talked to the father a few days ago, and the family is just concerned today as they were yesterday.
Yo, if I had 100 sheep and one of them got away, I would leave the 99 and go find that one.